everybody. Welcome to this week's The Heart of CX. I'm Max Ball, and with me is.
Joanna Palmer. Hey, Max, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. My
Good.
favorite time of the week.
Yes, yes. Time when we get to talk. I have something I want to talk about. I've been thinking about social media and customer service. And one of the things that strikes me about it is how ill defined its home is. Social media is clearly and absolutely living in marketing. That's where the company's image goes out, all of that. Great. Totally makes sense. Love it. Um, Customer service clearly typically lives with a customer service organization of some sort. Um, but the minute marketing goes out and talks about how wonderful your company is, there's always somebody who's going to say, "Oh, no, you're not. I had this problem." And people are going to start reaching out with problems there. And you know, I've had experience from the vendor side with this, and it's challenging because as you're selling into an organization, where does it go? Who do you talk to? Do you talk to everybody? And I know since you've lived more on the contact center side itself, maybe you could provide some insight into, you know, how did you get to social customer service, and what was that process, and what did it look like, and who did you work with, and what were the relationships between the different teams?
Yeah, that's a great question, Max, and you're absolutely right. I was on the customer side and actually led the social media group, and was part of the launch team for that for customer service. And as you start looking at just how social media grows, it is predominantly led by the marketing team initially. It's a great tool for marketing, and like you had mentioned, oftentimes right after a marketing post, or even not right after a marketing post, customers are going to tend to engage from a customer service perspective. It's that one to many, it's that immediate response that they expect. It is that immediate engagement. They know that social media is an effective channel to get their service questions answered. And so, with that, a lot of times marketing will start responding to customers, but they're they're not always equipped to handle those contacts. And so,
Yeah,
as you think about, no, they're not customer
they're not
service.
wired that way at all. Yeah, exactly,
Right,
exactly.
right. A lot of times they don't have access to those back office systems that are necessary to solve the issue. And so if you think about marketing front ending these social media inquiries for customer service, it goes marketing, and then they've got to reach out to customer service. Customer service has to serve and handle whatever that inquiry was, and then feed it back to marketing that then posts an update or DMs with the customer. And it turns out to be inefficient, ineffective, and timely. And there's a lot of waste there from a time and process perspective. And so at some point, organizations come to the realization that customer service really needs to handle these contacts. And that's really where as I was leading this group and really focused on driving forward the social media engagement. It's how do you ensure that you're aligned with marketing? How do you ensure that you
Mm.
win the trust of the marketing group so that your group of agents can handle those contacts autonomously, but also keep marketing informed?
So how did you do that?
Well, there were a number of things we did. Initially, it was sending every post up to get approved.
Mm.
Quickly, we realized that that was not going to be manageable. Number one, customer service is ideal to answer these inquiries because typically customer service has extended hours. So, marketing typically is typical corporate hours, 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever those corporate hours are. But customer service typically has those extended hours where it could be 7 a.m. to midnight, or even 24 by 7, which,
Right.
obviously is ideal. So, as you think about a customer service rep being able to handle that already, if you're waiting on marketing to review, approve before you can respond to that customer, you're building in delays that aren't really acceptable in the social media world. Social media needs to be near real time, feel like it's almost immediate. And so it was about building that trust, showing that our answers were appropriate for the inquiry. And marketing agreed to let the customer service reps respond to those posts autonomously. The next thing we ran into was potentially viral posts. So within
Hmm.
any organization, you're going to have that day where things don't go quite right, that things aren't really where they should be. And there could be the potential of a post going viral. It could be a theme, could be an area of friction within your organization. I worked for a publishing organization, so there were times where there could be content of a book
Oh,
that
sure. And
became
suddenly somebody objects
controversial.
and everybody jumps on the bandwagon. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes. And so when we started seeing those sorts of posts bubble up, we created a SWAT team. We created that process to engage marketing almost immediately, to escalate this up to corporate communications, to ensure that everybody was informed, to ensure that we had that corporate response to this issue because it was larger than just a customer service inquiry. And so that's the
Mm.
next piece of to ensure that you've got that process in place for those potentially viral posts. And it's better to have it in place ahead of time than react in the heat of the moment there. And so that was really the next step of maturation. And we probably leveraged that, gosh, in the couple of years that I was leading that group, half a dozen times or so. It was for those really big moments, but they were important. It was important to show that
Mm.
transparency, provide updates multiple times a day to show how these things are trending. And when they started trending down and continued trending down, then we stopped the SWAT team and the large focus
It's
on this, and we're able to go back to business as usual.
yeah, I was going to say it sounds like disaster recovery.
It
It,
really is. It's
that's interesting.
That's a great analogy, Max. Um, and I think one of the other steps in maturation is leveraging these insights, sharing these insights. We've talked before about customer centric organizations and how do you become a customer centric organization. And the insights that you get from social are huge. It shows you where your friction areas are. These are customers that typically aren't delighted. There are some that are delighted, and I love those as well. And being able to tell those stories on a weekly basis up to your marketing group of here is really what the voice of the customer is saying on our social pages. In providing that insight, you're able to identify customer friction points to eliminate those friction areas, as well as see what's going right, where you're delighting the customers, and you can focus on continuing those as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I like when we do these is the number of times you're able to get us to a point of this is how the contact center reaches beyond customer service in the contact center and really drives the whole company, and that's how you become a customer centric company. And that's the stuff that I think makes the biggest difference across companies.
And I do love where customer service has headed. In the last 10 to 20 years, it has turned from that cost center to that strategic partner. It is the heart of the company. Customer experience is that heart of the customer company and that lifeblood. And so every time you have that opportunity to learn from your customers, to see what's going well and what's not going well, take that, embrace it, and run with it and make that experience even better for those customers in the future.
Here, here. Great story. I think that was very interesting. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Max. This was fun. Let's do it again next week.
Let's do it. All right. And folks, we'll talk to
Okay.
you then too. Take care.
All right. Thanks.